Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Repeat Ron, and today we're going to be doing another Deep Rock Galactic Overclock tier list. This time we're going to be looking at the PGL grenade launcher for the engineer class, and we're going to be discussing each of their overclocks. As you can see, they have a nice spread of overclocks, 2, 2, and 2, which is sometimes unusual in this game. We're going to be talking about each of them and where I'd rank them. Clean Sweep gives us 10 more area damage and 0.5 meters larger explosion radius. So we get a little bit larger explosion radius and a little bit more area damage. This one, like a lot of clean overclocks, is nothing crazy. It's decent, it's good. You can run it with anything that you want with the grenade launcher, and it's just going to be a bonus to it. Even if you're going for more of a direct fire grenade launcher, or at least a more contained grenade launcher, like trying to hit enemies directly, it's still going to be a plus. Maybe not a huge plus, but still a plus. If you're going for a larger AoE grenade launcher, it's going to make it that much larger and that much more damaging at an area. So it's never going to be a bad choice, and it can go with anything. So, I mean, that automatically at least puts it into B tier because there's really no downside to it. I wouldn't really put it any higher than that, though, because it doesn't feel like you're getting a whole lot more out of this. When I was using it, it still felt like I pretty much was using the regular grenade launcher, which the regular grenade launcher is still quite good. It might be kind of a very straightforward weapon. If you just want damage, pick the grenade launcher and, use it like a grenade launcher. Clean Sweep didn't really change that all that much, but it was a nice little bonus. So, up next we have Packrat. Packrat gives you 2 more max ammo. That's it. That's also pretty good. 2 more grenades is pretty nice for the grenade launcher. You get 1 more grenade from resupplies, which is always a bonus. I like going extra ammo with most weapons, and the grenade launcher is no exception. Having a bunch of grenades is good, and once again, this goes with really any build that you want. You could even build similar builds that you've already tried, maybe going with one of the ammo perks, and then just take this over it, and then switch that out for something, or keep it and have even more ammo. Again, it's a good overclock for every build, so it's going to go probably up into A tier. I think Packrat is a little bit better than Clean Sweep. Neither of them are bad. Both of them are pluses. If I was going to give them an exact rank, I'd probably put Clean Sweep at like a B+, and the Packrat at an A-. They're very similar to one another, at least in terms of usefulness. And like I said, they can both go with any build, so nothing bad there. Up next, we have Compact Rounds. Compact Rounds is our first balanced overclock, and this is kind of the opposite of Clean Sweep. This makes it so you lose out on 10 area damage and 0.5 meter of explosion radius, but you get 5 more maximum ammo, which is pretty good. That means you get 3 more ammunition every time you get a resupply, which is nice since the resupplies will always round up. 3 more ammunition is always good there. Having 5 more ammunition is good. Losing out on 10 area damage is honestly not that big of a deal for the grenade launcher. It already does enough area damage, and I rarely, if ever, have found myself in a situation where I've shot the grenade into a crowd and there's just been enemies that have, cling to life at a sliver of health that I've actually noticed. It just doesn't really happen. Same with the 0.5 meters of reach being reduced. Honestly, I don't really feel that much with the grenade launcher. This one feels more like a plus than anything else. The 5 more rounds are just really good. And if I don't feel like taking some of the ammunition modifications for the grenade launcher, I can just take this instead, go with even more direct damage or even larger area radius or make up for my area damage. Any of those will pretty much counteract this, and then it just becomes a plus. So Compact Rounds seems like a good plus all the way around. Nothing incredibly fancy about it. It's just decent. So I'm going to put this one above Packrat into A tier. All right, now we're getting to the fun overclocks. 3 of these overclocks are pretty basic and not all that fun to explain because it's just more damage, more ammo, less damage. Now we got some of the crazy ones. This is the RJ250 compound. This makes it so you get 70% more maximum ammo. You also cut down on your reload by 0.6 seconds, but most importantly, you can launch yourself and your friends with this, which gives Engineer probably the most mobility that they can have because they don't really have any mobility. It's usually best just to run something like Dash on the Engineer. This actually lets you fling yourself or fling allies, which can also be really fun, and this might be one of the funnest overclocks to play around with. This all comes at the cost of minus 35 area damage, so you do lose out on damage. And this one, once again, I found it incredibly fun. It might be one of the most fun overclocks to actually play around with. I don't know, honestly, how effective it really is, though. Most of the time, I didn't find myself really needing to use it to get myself out of bad situations, and that's probably just because I'm more reliant on abilities like Dash or Second Wind with the Engineer to get me out of danger, which are way more basic, way less explodey, but usually pretty solid, and I can run them with any build that I want with Engineer. With this, I still run those perks anyway with Engineer, but this did make it feel a little bit better to get around when there was swarms coming. So it did make it more fun in that way. You can also potentially fling your teammates into bad situations with this too, but not a whole lot of people tend to run this, and I kind of understand why. It sort of makes it so your grenade launcher is more just for rocket jumping than for actually shooting enemies. It's still like super fun. So on the one hand, I honestly don't think that this is an incredible overclock in a lot of ways, and on the other hand, I do think it's an incredible overclock just because of how fun it is. I'm going to put this one into lower B tier. I still think the utility has some place in the game, and somebody that has probably more time with Engineer, because I think I've played Engineer the least out of the classes, more time with Engineer and is better equipped with this weapon, or if you use something like the Special Powder, or the Special, I think it's Special Powder for the Boomstick, where you can fling yourself around, you might have better results than I have with this, but it's still a super fun overclock to use. Alright, going on to the unstable overclocks. Our first one is the Fat Boy. This one makes it so you have 4 times the area damage, which is a lot of damage. You also have 1 additional meter of explosion radius. However, you cut your maximum ammo down by 70%, and you cut the velocity of the round down by 30%. So you usually only have a few shots of the Fat Boy to use. This also creates pretty much a nuclear explosion that puts radiation in the area and deals damage over time to all enemies and allies. This one can be potentially really good. This one can also be potentially really bad. I've had teammates that use this and then shoot it way too close to the team, shoot it way too close to an objective, or just shoot a teammate outright or shoot the ground in front of them, and then kill half the team or kill at least one teammate right away so they down them, and we're at a big disadvantage. On the other hand, if you do use this to lob it far enough away from the team, you can wreak complete havoc on any of the bugs. You will pretty much destroy anything that's not really a MacTerra. You would have to hit MacTerra directly, and that's really difficult with this, especially with the slower projectile speed. But if you throw this into a group of grunts, if you throw this at a Praetorian, at an Oppressor, at a Dreadnought, you can do tons of damage to them. I mean, if you shoot it into like a grunt swarm, you've probably killed the entire grunt swarm. If not, the other ones that are running through the radiation are getting slowed down and taking damage over time, and they probably won't be as big a threat once they get to you. Downside of this one, though, is that you do have a lot of reduced ammo, and your grenade launcher becomes a highly specialized weapon. Whenever I've been using the Fat Boy, I've pretty much always taken Stubby with the maximum ammo, overclock and the maximum ammo just build, so then I at least have something to just spray at enemies and then this to use on special occasions. I've tried it with the micro shells too with the Warthog, and honestly I didn't care for it all that much. I found that the micro shells were a little bit less consistent with the Fat Boy overclock as opposed to others. There is also another kind of valid complaint with this, and that is, even though it does a ton of damage, I think it probably does the most damage out of any weapon in the game, at least shot for shot. You could potentially still do more damage and damage per second with the Breach Cutter. Now, we're not comparing the Breach Cutter and the Grenade Launcher right now, but the Fat Boy is usually more dangerous than the Breach Cutter to be using around the team. A lot of people really like to take the skill Friendly with this, because that makes it so you're doing 50% reduced damage to teammates, and teammates are doing 50% reduced damage to you. Makes a lot of sense with this weapon because you can kill teammates very easily with the Fat Boy. And that's probably what I'd recommend unless you're very confident in your skills and you're really just using this to lob a few grenades at a time at the enemies. I'd still probably put the Fat Boy, I don't know, it's definitely S tier damage, but with like the trade-off for ammo and how specialized the grenade launcher gets, I have a hard time putting it into S tier. I think I'm going to put it into high A tier because it is still really good. And then our last overclock is Hyper Propellant. Hyper Propellant might be my favorite overclock for the grenade launcher. It's between that and the RGA 250 compound, or even the Fat Boy. The Fat Boy is really cool too. This makes it so your grenade gets massively increased direct fire damage by 385 damage. You also get 350% bonus projectile speed. So this pretty much turns your grenade launcher into a railgun. The downside to this is that it cuts your explosion radius down by 70%, so it functions more like a rifle than it does a grenade launcher, and you lose out on 2 more maximum ammo. So like I said, this pretty much turns your grenade launcher into a railgun. It makes it really good for shooting at long range. It makes it very strong against any sort of target if you can hit them on a weak spot. Like, it completely destroys dreadnoughts if you just get behind them and start shooting them with this. It's really good at blowing up goo bombers or spitballers at a distance. It's a really fun overclock, and it's quite good. It does have some problems. One is that if teammates are jumping in front of you and you do shoot them with this, it will also probably down them because it does a ton of damage to teammates. That's happened to me several times while I've been streaming, where somebody has jumped in front of me or grappled hook in front of me and they just got shot and downed. So I think I'm going to put hyper propellant into S tier. It might be on the low end of S tier compared to other overclocks, but I still really enjoy this one, and I find it super fun. As you can see with this list, I really wouldn't consider any of the grenade launchers overclocks to be bad. A lot of them are quite good. Some of them are quite basic, and that just makes them good, even though it's a little bit boring to talk about. And some of them are incredibly fun, but come at somewhat of a cost or somewhat of a deficit compared to the others. If you guys are new here and you enjoy this type of video, be sure that you get subscribed. That way you get notifications whenever I post any of these videos. Special thanks to all of my supporters. I really do appreciate the support at the channel. It helps it out a lot. If you would like to become a supporter, you can over at my Patreon or here on YouTube. Down in the description below, there is a link to join the membership program if you would like to and get a few extra rewards. Thanks everybody who does that. I really do appreciate it, and I will talk to all of you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye!